tunnels. Beneath and beyond this cinema lies a maze of passages, including the large brick-lined tunnels known as casemates, planned by military engineers who cut through the soft chalk of the white cliffs of Dover to create a secret underground world. Although most of the tunnels date from the Second World War, not all of them have been fully explored since they were abandoned. What is known is that they were constructed in great secrecy around an underground barracks, first excavated to provide accommodation for troops stationed at Dover Castle during the war against Napoleon. When finally completed in 1943, the tunnels consisted of 3 distinct levels. The heart of these was a secret wartime headquarters and the underground hospital, both of which you will see today. Long after the war, during the 1960s, these became part of a regional centre of government, from which the southeast of England would have been administered in the event of a nuclear attack. But it was during the early years of the Second World War that the story of the Dover tunnels was at its most dramatic, when this, the most exposed coastal frontier of Britain, became known far and wide as Hellfire Corner. For it was from within these cliffside tunnels that Vice Admiral Bertram Ramsay secretly planned and commanded Operation Dynamo, the extraordinary evacuation of British forces from Dunkirk. As international hostilities grew, secret moves to update Admiralty casemate began in the late 1930s. Yet despite the coming of war in September 1939, so far as most British people were concerned, there was at first very little enemy action. The British Expeditionary Force left to take up fixed positions on the Franco-Belgian frontier, almost exactly as they had done at the start of the 1914-18 war. This so-called phony war was not to last, however. During the following spring, in May 1940, German forces bypassed the huge concrete barrier of the Maginot Line to trap retreating Allied forces at Dunkirk. Finally, at 7 on the evening of Sunday, May the 26th, came the order to evacuate. Working day and night within the cramped offices of Admiralty casemate, Admiral Ramsay, together with his hand-picked team and a small number of key personnel from the Army and the Royal Air Force, supervised the whole of Operation Dynamo. Vital communications links, often using secret codes, kept the Dynamo team in constant touch with everyone from British Prime Minister Winston Churchill to the War Office Chiefs of Staff. From here, Ramsay's team directed the aircraft and naval vessels escorting the huge makeshift fleet that crisscrossed the Straits of Dover time and time again to rescue the exhausted army from Dunkirk. In a total of 9 days, some 338,000 British, French and Belgian troops were snatched to safety in what became known as the Miracle of Dunkirk. Following the fall of France in June, the full force of enemy action was directed at Britain, with a German invasion expected to arrive at any moment. Dover Castle was now a frontier fortress. Churchill himself often visited Dover, and on at least one occasion personally ordered the biggest guns of the coastal battery to return fire to the enemy. By August 1940, the Battle of Britain was being fought in the skies over Dover. However, the tunnels were safe from air attack, and their use as a military headquarters was increasing in importance. In 1941, proposals were drawn up to extend the tunnel system to provide more space, and work soon began on the construction of a new level above the Admiralty casemate. This was Annex Level, the site of the underground hospital, which came into use late in 1942. But plans to site a large new military headquarters to the rear of Admiralty casemate had to be abandoned when the excavations kept collapsing. It was decided instead to place the new complex 15 meters below Admiralty Casemate. This was Dumpy, which was completed in mid-1943 as a combined operations headquarters for all the military services based here. The Army, Navy and Air Force each had their own part to play, and most of their day-to-day work was top secret. So despite living and working closely alongside other services, people were ordered not to mix, but to keep themselves to themselves. The hospital complex within Annex Level was planned as a frontline hospital close to a battle zone. Deep within the chalk cliffs, a team of medical staff were on duty around the clock, though the bulk of their work consisted of routine minor operations. Occasionally, however, the surgeons faced a more horrific challenge, in the form of injuries to aircrew and naval personnel, critically wounded defending the Straits of Dover. As the war years advanced, however, the pressures eased as the main focus of the war moved to the Mediterranean and to Russia. Now strengthened by the arrival of US forces in Britain, the early months of 1944 saw plans finalized for Operation Overlord, D-Day, the invasion of France. To mislead the enemy, its precise landing point remained a carefully concealed secret. And even after the first waves of troops went ashore, the German High Command believed that a second attack would be launched across the Straits of Dover. The D-Day force that landed on the beaches of Normandy was carried by the largest invasion fleet in history. It was more than fitting that the responsibility for this fleet was given to Admiral Ramsay, the man whose organizing genius and whose small, closely knit team, working deep within these Dover tunnels, had saved the British Army at Dunkirk just 4 years earlier, and freed it to fight another day.
There'll be bluebirds over the white of Dover. Tomorrow, just you wait and see. Tomorrow, when the world is free.